Okay, so I'm going to put my presentation up here for you to see. Can you all see that? Excellent. Okay. I'm from StoreFeeder. My background really is it's multi-channel sales. Needless to say, multi-channel to me means across multiple marketplaces, but also your websites. I could really have done a presentation about StoreFeeder today, but it's become apparent in the last couple of years we're seeing ever more clients making really fundamental mistakes. So really, rather than talking about StoreFeeder and what I can do for you, I'd rather just add a little bit of value to your lives and talk about what not to do. Because quite critically, one of the key things that we always get asked is, if I've got 10,000 line items on my website, can you distribute that onto Amazon or eBay or Play or any of these particular sites that you might want to trade on? And the answer is yeah, I can do that for people, but I think one of the key things that I really want to highlight to you all is, and it sort of touches on the profitability thing that Deepak was talking about, is that if you list 10,000 line items on your website, it's going to cost you nothing. If you list 10,000 line items onto eBay, it's going to cost you an absolute fortune. So, my first and the biggest piece of advice I can give to absolutely anybody is, when you're doing your analysis, do a test trade on different types of items, because there is a universal maxim that says 80% of your revenue is going to come from 20% of your stock. So when a client approaches me and says, can you? I say, yes, of course I can. Would you advise that you do that? Absolutely not, because the maxim applies in the real world, i.e. in the high street and on your website, but equally that applies to Amazon and eBay. Now you bear in mind, if you're making a nice healthy profit on the first 30% of everything that you sell, i.e. your run rate items, the popular items to the marketplace, those items where you see 80% of your revenue, if you continue then to supply the rest of your inventory into eBay and the various costs associated with doing so, you are going to eat into the margins that you make on the top 30%. And it's amazing. There will be people in this room that are at director level, they're running businesses, they've got staff below them. I encourage you, if you're at that level, tell your staff about it, because they're employing managers to do eBay or Amazon, and what they're doing is listing their entire inventory, and they're coming to us later on and asking why they don't make a profit. So when we do the analysis, simple things. They've got an anchor store costing £400 a month. Well, why are we still not making a profit? Well, firstly, because your £400 a month eats into your profits, but secondly, simple things like they've chosen to put all the enhancements on, like extra pictures or subtitles or that type of thing. And that eats so heavily into the profit lines that what they'll do is they'll come to us and say, can you help us make a profit? Because our current provider can't do it, and the provider before couldn't do it, and the provider before that couldn't do it. And one thing that they've not done is planned. They've not done a test trade. They thought that their 100% inventory of 10,000 items is going to yield them success. The reason I chose to talk about this today was because a lot of you will be thinking about dropshipping, about feeds from your suppliers, about the methodologies that didn't exist 2, 3, 4 years ago. And the encouragement that the suppliers will give you will be quite simple. Here's 10,000 line items, why don't you list them there and why don't you list them there? Because we make it easy for you to sell our product. Bullshit. If you get that 10,000 line item feed and you throw it straight into eBay, you're going to fail. It's as simple as that. I would encourage any of you that are unsure about where the math sits, just to do a little test trade on each of the environments that you intend to sell on. Your run rate items will clearly sell. I think that it's a no-brainer. If it sells on your website, if it's popular in the marketplace, then yes, your top 20% will absolutely sell. But before you then start going to 30% and 40% and 50%, you have to think, is that product going to be profitable? Because it's only profit that is going to see you successful in business. The unfortunate thing is, I've seen 5,000, 6,000 businesses in my time that have been successful on eBay that I've had personal involvement with. But equally, I've probably seen 1,000 that failed. And you have to think that, eBay is a great opportunity for you to take those 10,000 line items and to throw in, if you're sure that the bottom 70% will sell. But we're clear that the market itself will suggest that actually 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your product. My view is actually more like 30 and 70. But, it depends on what you're selling. And this math might not apply to you. So my encouragement to you would be, think about what Deepak said. You've got 7.9% there that's eating into your margins. And my assertion is that if you're not careful, then those 70% will be by wiping out all of the profit that you're making on the top 30%, and you will fail. So I don't want to be the harbinger of doom, but it's good advice, and it's advice based on thousands of conversations that I've had. Your eBay consultants, Liz and Jane, they'll tell you exactly the same thing. It's all well and good saying that you've got a brilliant product for eBay, but you have to look at the popularity of that product. Use tools like, Terapeak and good quality tools like that. Speak to your eBay consultants before you go selling on eBay, because you might be selling on your website now and wish to go multi-channel, but the truth is, it's not right for everybody. Or if you do want to go to multi-channel, make sure that you're choosing your top 20 or 30% of your products before you do, and then move out from there in a slow and measured fashion. My second point is something that, again, Deepak touched on. He said, well, it cost you £7, £2,500, £3,000, but we've not accounted for the time in that. Well, Jesus, what sort of business doesn't account for time? Again, those very same people that are failing are the people that have not accounted for the time. Simple stuff like that. Oh, well, we made 30 grand last year. Did you? Okay, what did you pay yourself? Oh, no, I didn't pay myself. Well, you know what? You're going to have to account for time as a business expense. So profitability doesn't come from having a great idea. It comes from having great planning, great research into your product, and at the end of the day, a math that says that's where the profit sits. If you're not accounting for time, and you're not accounting for, well, any other sort of what you would call sundry expenses, the cost of running your offices, the cost of your lighting, your heating, whatever it is, it all needs to be accounted for. You speak to any accountant about running your business and he'll tell you that from the start. But people forget. I've got clients there and they're making a healthy profit, but they're still not paying themselves because they think their time investment in the business is free of charge, but it's not. So I guess what I'm trying to encourage you to do is think about profitability in a more structured and measured approach. Some of you will already be doing this, so pardon me if I'm teaching you to suck eggs. But when you're looking at your product lines and your feeds from your suppliers, think about the time that it's going to take you to list those products. Think about, and specifically, the big point that I want to leave you today is the 80-20 maxim works in e-commerce, it works on Amazon, it works on eBay, it works on every single one of your channels. So, it's not a massively, how can I put it? It's not one of those things that people have at the forefront of their minds. They look at profitability and they talk about things like, the difference between the buy price and the sell price. And that's it. That's as far as the math has gone. So I'm encouraging you, every one of you, there will be some young businesses in here. Account for everything. Account for your time, account for the effort, the shipping. Don't just look at buy price and sell price because it's a skewed math. We've got clients funded by IWOCA who've gone over, they've gone to China and they've bought a big container full of stuff. But what they've done is they based it on a wider group of products than the top 30%. And what's actually happened is they've paid IWOCA back and they've made a little profit on it. But what they really should have done is looked at the real high-level margins. The margins would have been so much richer if they just concentrated on the top 30% of their product ranges. It is as simple as that. So that's it really. Account for your time, plan effectively, and look firstly at your top 30% and then work out from there. And that's it really. I didn't really come with a major plan, but it's a discussion topic that I think each one of you will probably go away and think, we knew that already. But isn't it's good to hear from somebody who's got this, I've got a big amount of experience with e-commerce traders across multiple channels, and people assume that the math is right for their eBay, or the math is right for the website, but that doesn't apply to any other channel. You know, I'm saying whatever you do on your website, the likelihood is those top 30% are going to be popular on eBay and Amazon as well. So don't go spending good money after bad, is what I'm saying. If you're going to take investment and you're going to go buy products that are popular in the marketplace. Use eBay consultants, use tools like Terapeak, and don't be tempted to just flood the market with 100% of your product lines. Thank you very much.
Questions at all? Questions?
What's Store Feeder's typical client profile? What type of clients do you like?
We turn more clients away than we take on.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, we do it with reason, because we're not stupid. We know that if we take on a client and it fails, then we're going to be part of the blame. So we always look at our clients and say, well, we do the math for them a lot of the time. So what's your buy price? What's your margin analysis? Have you done a test trade? And so on. And if none of those things apply, we will not take them on as a client. We want to see people succeed. Simple as.
You say that in order to have evaluate the 70-30, 70 rule, 80-20, your initial advice would be to do a test trade for how long, for what period?
If you've got a seasonal product, you'd have to do it in the height of season. You are going to have to sort of think carefully about your product lines. If you're selling cakes, I suppose cakes is a bad example. If you're selling underwear or swimwear, for example, you do your test trade May, June, July, August. Yeah. An ideal test trade would go over a full year, really. So you can see peaks and troughs, seasonality, you can see price variations in the market. So there are an awful lot of things that you need to consider when you do a test trade. But the very fact that you've had that item up listed on eBay for four months and it's not sold probably indicates that it's not popular in the marketplace. Some people will have their entire listings up there, 10,000 of the buggers, but they'll sell one out of the bottom 4 or 10, 20, 30%. And they think because they've got the one sale that governs or warrants the investment in having those items there. Or it helps the stature of the business grow. We've got 10,000 items listed on eBay. eBay will love you forever. But eBay don't care about your business. Yeah, what eBay they want your cash. So ultimately, the test trade is there to at least be sure in your mind that it's popular in the marketplace. Now, on your top 20, 30%, test trading is not necessary because you know it's popular in the marketplace. What I suggest you do with a test trade is start, once you've built your top 30% on whichever channels you're going to do, then start moving out by 2 or 3% at a time and go down until the point where it stops selling. So it might be, in your case, it could be 50% of your product line is attractive to market. And the rest is costing you to have on the site. So just don't put them on the site. So my advice is not necessarily about length of time, although I do understand why you ask. I think that's just governed by seasonality of the type of product. But what I would say is start at your top and then incrementally go down. Don't just throw 10, 20% extra on there. You've got to consider that because those 20% can cost you that much on those platforms to have on there that actually wipes out anything that you've made on the top 30% of your sales.
I think not only that, Carl, as well, those bottom ones, like you say, that if they do sell and the customer returns them, suddenly you've got a return on a dead dog.
Bang on, dead dog is exactly what it is.
And that
it is absolutely that.
You then sat with a product that may be wrong size, wrong item, wrong colour, whatever, but you've got, like you said, you've got to have the heart to cull everything. You do. You can't
a part of running a successful company is knowing where to stop doing certain things and to continue doing the things that you're doing well. Yeah, everyone's got plans to grow that big. The truth is, most people don't because they make fundamental mistakes while they're trying to do so. If you plan, you've got no problem.
The difficulty is though, everybody else is still selling that product. If you get what I mean. So that just adds weight to my argument because what you're doing is you're flooding the market with the same Me Too products as everyone else, and when they're not popular, they get even less popular because of that.
One question. You don't know if something's going to sell until you put it on.
Yes.
Test trade.
Yeah.
So what is test trade?
Put an item on, see if it sells. If it does, happy days. If it's not, crap.
The only cost as well is the cost of listing it. So once you've listed it, you might as well stay on there.
Well, 10,000 times 40p or whatever you're choosing, you know, it's a fair old cost. And
You don't know that particular item. You don't know. You're saying test trade it, but once it's on, you paid that money, so you might as well stay on.
that's true. I mean, you could put a number of sort of sample products from a set of products, test them. If none of them sell, then you know that set is likely not to sell.
Well, this is where therapy comes in then.
Bang on, absolutely. Do your research. You can see what's sold without even putting it on as a test trade if you wish.
You have to pick your nearest 2, 3, 4 competitors, see what they're selling, and there's a pattern that starts.
There is a pattern, absolutely. And you'll notice the successful sellers on eBay are not the ones that list tens of thousands of line items of inventory. Become a specialist in your field, sell your top 30, but sell it well, and you'll do much better than if you're selling 100% of your product line.
Do you think the post has got a lot to do with it, i.e. the speed of the post, the delivery of the item to the customer? Do you think it's much better to
No, I
send
mean,
first
that's
class on
up
next
to
year
your...
and earn a smaller profit than sending in second class or...
Well, again, that part of a test trade is multivariance testing. So what you do is you put one at one price, one at the next price, and if it's selling in the medium price, that's the price you choose. But the same applies to postage. Somebody can do with free postage, somebody can charge free postage at a cheap rate, somebody can charge full whack and reduce the price of the item. And again, test trading is all about that. It's trying different variations of things so that you can see where your product line fits.
How do you do that though? Because eBay will only allow you to list one item. So if you can't list the 3 items with 3 different posts.
No, you can list it 3 different ways in over 3 different months, possibly. Or, as lots of us know, you could actually just change the title and the description a little bit. You're not allowed to do that.
The lady there, which you wanted to ask a question. You want, yeah.
I sell on all 4 channels there, okay? So you're basically saying, like on the website, your top 20, put them on eBay, put them on Amazon, take a hit, and then. But to me, it's the other way around. Like if you're not selling on your website, Amazon and eBay are the place to get rid.
Asset disposal is something that I think, I mean, you are right, but you're probably having to devalue the product to do so.
But if you've got stock. Like when I take in a new item of stock, I'll take every colour. I know myself what ones are probably going to be the best sellers, and then the ones
and therefore you choose to keep those on your website.
So you bring them in. So you bring it in all colours.
Yeah.
But there's always 1 or 2 that don't sell. So to me,
because you're reaching a bigger footfall, of course.
You've got to go where the other channels to sell it.
But they're not your main line items, and you're certainly not flooding the market with them. You're using it as an asset disposal route, really, at that point. The proof of the pudding is always in the testing. I would encourage everybody, whether you're sort of senior, just starting out, the test trade is absolutely critical. And the 80-20 maximum definitely works.
But you don't bring them back in again.
Yeah, but do them items sell cheaper, the ones that don't sell, on eBay than they actually do on your web, or the ones that do sell?
But they don't sell anyway. How are you going to get rid of the stock?
Yeah, so it's like distress selling them then.
You've got to make, if you...
So look at the model on eBay at the moment. So you've got people giving 30-40% off list price, like people like Superdry.
But that's your big brands. Do you know what I mean? Like if you're buying in stock, you don't know how it's going to. You don't know if it's going to sell. You technically can do what you can do, but if you're bringing in a new item, I tend to bring it in all the colour range. But I know kind of like what's going to be best seller. So I bring in more.
Well, that's right.
You don't
that's
know
really.
Right. You don't know.
Many
if
people.
Your website doesn't sell it, which is where you get your information from. Got to go eBay and Amazon.
Well, that's right. So I've worked with a lot of big corporates on eBay. They've always used eBay as an asset disposal route. So for returns, for seconds, that type of thing. As time has gone on, they've realised that actually eBay is a place where we can stick new, top, popular line items.
I'll do that as well, but...
So, I think it's a good mix generally, I feel. If you've got your top 30% and then your asset disposal at the bottom, there's no harm in that because you're going to have to asset dispose
so
anyway.
how are you going to sell the bit?
How are you going
to sell the bit in between? Like you're saying you don't...
Well, the bit in between is worthless, isn't it?
In your bottom. Well, what do you do with it then? You're sitting on top.
Well, you just don't supply it. Somebody else will supply it at a price that is supported by their business model. But most people's will not support that degradation in price over the purchase price. Do you know what I mean? What I'm saying is, if you need to dispose of something at the bottom, you can do. But ideally, you would want the retail price for that. And the best way to do that is either sell it on your website or only put it on eBay when you know there's a market there for it. So, for example, with seasonal products and so on.
To me, that's one of your websites correctly SEO'd and your website is your biggest seller.
It should be. You should always concentrate really on the place that costs you least to sell.
Yeah.
You know, from an SEO perspective, I know a lot about SEO, and it's not always the best way to do it. Sometimes it's better just to pay eBay the 10% and happy days, because your footfall is so much bigger. So, you know, I understand that what I've said doesn't fit every model, but I am advising a bit of caution, because businesses fail as quick as they start up. And, you know, it's easy to sort of say, well, you know, I've got this buy price and this sell price, and just keep it to simple math like that. But, you know, popularity of an item is key, which is why I say, you know, don't rely on my word. Use your consultants or use things like Therapy. It's just such an amazing tool. I know plenty of people that have saved themselves a fortune by using Therapy as the guide, if you like, as almost an electronic consultant.
And you don't then buy in the bad sellers.
There's a good thing, absolutely.
It's the buying in the first.
Absolutely. The reason that this is becoming such a big problem for a lot of people is because clients, your suppliers, are now coming to you and saying, we've got this great system, it's got an API, all you need to do is FTP into our server and we'll supply you an entire product range. 10,000 items, you've got 200 there at the moment, which you will sell us, but we'll supply the entire inventory for you. Yeah, I know, that's it. So, needless to say, if you've got just your 30%, i.e. the sellers, on your website, that's what I would be then planting out to eBay. And in your case, if that is the case, then you can actually send 100% of your inventory out to your channels, and it'll be successful. Does that make sense? Because you're only choosing the line items for your website that you sell.
I suppose that's what can I do, because pretty much 100% is across all channels, and if they're non-sellers, they're just on all channels. And it's non-seller because it's the colour of the product as opposed to...
Yeah. You know, yours is probably quite a unique situation where you've got some asset disposed, but actually your main product line is very popular. We get approached by people to sell electronics, but they're selling, you know, old chargers or chargers for phones that are not popular anymore, or bits and bobs of stuff that's so popular on the marketplace that it's just absolutely flooded. And the reason that that's happening is because you've got people, your suppliers saying, feed for you, feed for you, feed for you. But in essence, it's exactly the same feed. So, you know, people are believing that they've got this massive inventory that's going to you know, save their businesses, and the truth is, it's not. It's going to cause you problems. And that's just based on my experience, really. You know, obviously, I've got nothing to gain by saying that. It really is just a note of caution. It's so popular for your suppliers now to come to you with these feeds. Just be careful. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you.
I have been having to do.
Fantastic. Thank you all. There's more drinks and a bit more food down there, and just enjoy the evening. And thank you, Deepak and Carl. You've been fantastic. And I'll see you next time. We'll be in Manchester again, I suppose September. So we leave it for the summer, because summer season, obviously, hopefully, you're going to get a holiday. Hope for you all. But just have a look on the website, and I'll see you soon, Emily.
Okay.